I have been spoiled. No, we have been spoiled. Infinity War, Endgame, Wandavision, Loki, What If, No Way Home, and everything before that, and now the Multiverse of Madness. I said to myself before coming into this movie that it could possibly be the biggest Marvel movie to date since Avengers Endgame. I mean, so long Thanos and the first 3 phases that was all essentially built around him, right? And in comes the multiverse. These Marvel adventures that I just said, WandaVision, Loki, What If, No Way Home have all in one way or another been about the multiverse. And all of them have been leading up to this one movie. That's a huge lead up. So like myself, being a big Marvel fan, even though I haven't talked too much about many MCU films on this channel, mostly due to the fact that, I started late, though I have watched most of the Marvel films when they have came out though. The only ones I really missed were the first 2 Thor films, but that's for another video. But the point I'm trying to make is that being a massive Marvel fan, you tend to have high expectations, at least for big MCU films. I was very excited for this movie. Seeing Doctor Strange, a character that grew on me and is now one of my favorite characters, in action again, and seeing the aftermath of No Way Home, learning about the multiverse, what's hidden in it, but most importantly, what this means as a whole within the MCU. And that's what I love about Marvel movies, that there's this big whole connected world where like what happens in one movie might have dire consequences in another. Well folks, I think I expected a little bit too much of this movie because for the most part it was a little tame and there weren't a whole lot of surprises. But hold on, before you bash on me in the comments because you don't like hearing people be negative, hear me out, okay? I actually did enjoy this movie a lot. I did. It was quite a creative movie, I have to say. I enjoyed the action sequences, the stakes, the outcomes, and seeing all these different, unique universes and the fantastic acting, sound effects, and CGI that you expect from a modern Marvel movie. And you can definitely tell that this is a Sam Raimi film. This is the first Marvel movie, I believe, where there's an element of horror involved. And you can definitely tell that that was the part I was most excited about coming into this one. And I have to say, they definitely delivered in that forefront. Some parts were just really brutal and just horrific. And there were a few jump scares that got some people at the theater I was at. And one character even looked like a boss from Dark Souls or any of those From Software games. And people who have played those games or have seen those games before know how creepy and horrific some of those guys are. But the best thing about the horror aspect was that most of them were in the scenes with the ultimate villain of this movie, which was great because it just made them all the more menacing. Now the villain, who was secretly Wong, who actually goes by the name Wong Tong, yeah, crazy, I know. Nah, I'm just kidding. Or am I? The multiverse is an unknown place. He could be a villain in another universe, who knows? That's the thing about this movie, and with delving into the multiverse, it may be confusing to some people. That's why I strongly advise, if you haven't already, to watch WandaVision, Loki, and the What If series, because once you do, the movie ends up not really being that confusing at all. At least that was the case for me. But yeah, no, that was all jokes. I'm fully zipped about who they fight in this one, because they, for the most part, through the trailers, have been pretty vague and pretty secretive about that area. But I will say this, it was kind of expected, and that's the thing with this movie. If you are a Marvel fan like me and are very excited for a movie like this, then you're going to rewatch everything leading up to this movie and search every nook and cranny for rumors and stuff like, because you just can't wait, right? But once you do, it just makes the movie, or I guess the way it turns out, less exciting in a way, because, you end up expecting something, you know? But in general, the multiverse is huge. There's limitless and endless possibilities. You can find all sorts of creepy things. And sure you do in this one, but it wasn't really to the level that I wanted or expected. I mean, the movie shouldn't be titled Multiverse of Madness for no reason, right? But like I said, I got spoiled. And not in the sense like spoiled as in like what happens in the movie, but more so for the fact that Marvel keeps delivering goodness our way. I mean, What If already gave us kind of an insight to what the multiverse is like, especially with the Doctor Strange one, and I'd say that one episode was one of the best of the series. That and maybe the zombie one and the last 2 episodes. But because the multiverse exists, there are a lot of possibilities for stronger variants. So in this movie, I was hoping to see like some crazy Doctor Strange variants like the one we saw in What If, for example. I'm not going to tell you what I saw, but let's just say this movie doesn't really exceed expectations, and I guess I expected more, or I guess I wanted more. I wanted something to surprise me in a game-changing way. Sure, this movie was funny at times, there are a few surprises, and it's also slightly emotional as well. Most of this movie's aspects are great, but definitely not at peak level or the level we are used to seeing in other really big Marvel movies like Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame. And before you say, oh, never come into a movie with high expectations, no, fuck you, okay? I can come into any movie with whatever expectations I want based on how I feel the movie will turn out. And I'm here to say that this movie should be a big movie. It should be a big deal. It should be game-changing on a multiversal level, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't all that surprising, the things that happened in this movie. And after watching the whole entire movie, it didn't really make me too excited for what was to come in the future. I said to myself before coming into this movie, you know, this movie, it better be more than just a trailer. It's Marvel, you know, surely they're, you know, hiding something, you know. Because if it was just a trailer, then I'd be pissed because I almost about watched that bitch 20 times. Well, during the movie, I was like waiting for those moments that I saw in the trailer and seeing how they would pan out. But I think throughout the movie, there wasn't really something that was completely unexpected. But there were a few moments which were somewhat unexpected. Like I had a feeling they would happen, you know, like those kind of moments. Take it of what you will. I guess it was kind of my fault for being curious and searching out rumors online, but I think only one rumor really that I searched up ended up being true. The other thing that I searched up that ended up being true that was somewhat unexpected, I sort of could have pieced together myself anyway through watching some of the Marvel series that aired last year. Look, with all this being said, this movie isn't horrible or bad or even average by any means. I'm just saying that it could have been better. Did it meet expectations? Yeah, sure, possibly. But did it exceed expectations? Most certainly not. After watching the tragic story of Wandavision and also the tragic story of in other universes Doctor Strange and What If, it really made me feel more for those characters, so I'd enjoy watching them on the big screen again. But I have to say, Wanda really stole the show. She was brilliant. Though compared to both those series, this movie just wasn't as emotional or tragic. I would have to say, like I said, I've been spoiled. America Chavez, on the other hand, was a welcome addition, but it just felt like she was just a trophy that everyone wanted to get their hands on in this movie. Her backstory wasn't really fleshed out all that well to a point of like feeling anything for her. She was just there and only really served one ultimate purpose. So you see, many elements of this movie are kind of great, but not really overwhelmingly good or to the high level we're so used to seeing in other Marvel adventures. But with that being the case, there are a few standouts, and that is the horror element and the action sequences. But definitely more so with the horror element. This movie was freaky, and I like that. Although, Multiverse of Madness, you know what? This movie does stay true to its name, honestly, now that I think about it. Even though there could have been way more madness involved. I'm going to give Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness a B+. The multiverse. At first I was like, did Marvel run out of ideas? Because the multiverse, as we have learned, could be endless, you know, with endless possibilities. So they could honestly milk that forever, like until I'm fucking in my 70s or some shit. Oh man. But whatever. Now I'm like, okay, you know what? I love the fact that they're introducing the multiverse, because, I mean, I'm sure it was in the comics as well, but it makes more sense in movies because it's like, sometimes we have all these different actors, right? You know, like with Spider-Man. So it kind of makes sense. And that's why No Way Home was pretty amazing, because it tied all the Spider-Mans together. That film was truly remarkable. This film, not so much. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Like and sub if you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to check out any of my previous videos. Until next time.